So, Fabian, the thing
Tell me.
is, so I started to work in Quinta do Cum almost 2 years now, and they didn't have their social media or the networks. It was, they didn't post a lot of things, and I wanted to increase the number of followers, and I started just to make some posts. We increased, but not too much as I wanted to. And I have several questions. I've been reading some. I also bought a book, and the information that I see, it's always try to see the best hours where your followers are more active. So you should post something different or funny, and I'm still trying to find an identity for the estate. I don't know if you saw our Facebook or the Instagram.
What I see first on Instagram, one of the problem you have directly, it's that you always have your brand in the center of the post, and too many bottles. It's one of the
Yes.
mistakes. What I always try to explain to producers or wine people is like, if you communicate about your winery, why communicating only about your wine? It's good that you share a bit about your wine, your activities, your what's happening in the vineyard and in the cellar, but you need to think as a consumer, is like, when consumer drink a glass of wine, maybe the woman likes to drink a glass of wine and make crochet. Maybe she likes to read a book and drink a glass of wine. Maybe someone is a dog lover but loves wine at the same time. So you need to find centers of attraction, interests, that people will relate more easily. Because if you only communicate about your wine, your product, and your winery, for many people, it's like very hard for them to get into it. It's like they don't understand anything, especially when it comes to terms and so on. Why always having your bottle in the picture? You don't need. If you make, I don't know, if you decide to post every day, then you say, okay, once a week we see our product, but that's it. So first you can say, okay, once a week we see the product, once a week we see the team, once a week we see the team working, whether in the cellar, in the vineyard, in the laboratory, making a blend, or trimming the vineyards. But then it leaves you 4 posts a week to share other stuff. And as you know, on estates and wineries, often what you have, especially in Portugal, you always have dogs. People love dogs. So
Yeah.
have fun with the dogs. Maybe you can tell the story about the dog in the winery. If you decide, I say, if you decide to post once a week or whatever, you can always make something with food in the center and maybe your wine in the back. But you don't need to have always the
The
label.
present, yeah.
Yeah, you can have the bottle can be faded in the back, or you can just have the glass of wine.
And what do you think about, because what I've seen in professional like Instagrammers, they always use the same filter or the same colors.
It's up to you. This kind of trend of having the same kind of colors uh, used to be very popular in the past, but now it's getting away. But if you want to build up to your identity, I think it's smart that you create your own preset. Maybe you want to force more on the blue, more on the green. Maybe you want to break the greens. It's like maybe you pick up a range of color that you want to focus on. But curating too much an Instagram feed is getting harder and harder, and it's not gonna bring you more people in a way. It's not it's not the image that's going to bring people. It's going to be like, what is the content? And I say, as me as a photographer, it's nice that I have a polished Instagram. It needs to be nice, but you're not a photographer, you're not a videographer.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter, it's better to say, okay, if we have time, we post, I don't know, 20 times a week, we don't care, maybe you can put out a lot of content. And after, what you need to be careful also is what you put on Instagram doesn't necessarily have to be on Facebook.
Yeah.
What I do for clients, so I create content for them. So once a week is content from me, and 2 times per week is curated content. So it's not my content, but it's content from either producers or consumers. So for you as a producer, what you can do, if you have people that are drinking your bottle in different side of the world, or making a nice meal, having a nice table, repost
Mm-hmm.
their pictures. They will be more than happy. And also,
Mm-hmm.
when you see this picture, go and ask them, like, did you have a good time? How was it? Or can
Mm-hmm.
you send us the recipe of the dish? It
Create
looks,
more engagement with.
yeah. Like, what you can do, it's like really get more into the posts from your consumers, but also people that are navigating around you. Because wherever you're in the world, for example, on Instagram, you can see who is posting near your winery. So when it's the better season, when you have a bit of tourists or Portuguese people around, if you see they're in a winery next to the road or in the other side of the valley, tell them, we will be happy to welcome you. It's like doing social media is not only posting, it's like putting more energy also into getting people to know you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I said also, like, knowing you, not only you and your product, is knowing your little planet. Like, if you have passion, maybe I don't know, maybe the owner of the winery has passion for, I don't know, football, or, like I say, social media is what your website used to be 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you needed to have a website, it was the front of the shop. But
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, social media is the front of the shop, but it's a front of the shop that allows you to engage with your customers, but also probably find new ones. So if you're doing the same post and communication like all your neighbors, it's not going to help you. But
Yeah.
if you
True.
find what makes you different, but not in terms of what's in the bottle, everything that gravitates around the winery and the products, so the food, the passions, animals, things that people see daily,
Related to.
that they can relate so easily.
Mm-hmm.
And this, you will make a totally different type of content, different engagement. Because what's the point to post always your bottle and say, oh, okay, this is that? People don't really care. For example, when you see, like, on Instagram, I see, like, the the medals. This has nothing to do on Instagram. This is kind of communication. Basically, on Facebook, you can post anything. You can post anything. It can be consumer centric. It can be more trade centered. You Basically, the algorithm will always redirect where it's supposed to go. But on Instagram, in a way, it's more about consumer and visuals.
Mm-hmm.
When I say visuals, like I said, you're not a photographer, so to really have the same range of colors and so on, I don't necessarily think is optimal for a winery. If you have the time and so on, do it, but then you need to have to
No.
work.
Yeah. It's
But
a
it's
lot
very,
of time
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
and you know how the colors are in the Douro Valley that
yeah,
are
yeah.
beautiful. Sometimes we
And
don't
like I
need we
said,
don't need
also,
filters
like,
or.
if you don't have too much time to create content, I don't know how many you are in the team and so on, but maybe you say, per season, we make a full session of shooting content. What you can do is say, maybe we take 4 to 5 days per season maximum. You don't need a lot. But during 4 or 5 days, you shoot, you shoot, you shoot, you shoot. You do only this.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, before you're gonna say, okay, we're gonna do this and that, you make a bit of a storyline, or at least find thematics, so it's easier. But at least for 4 or 5 days, you do this, and after, you get enough content to post almost all year. So I would
Mm-hmm.
say that in 3 weeks in a year, you're going to be able to make enough content for the full year. And after, to make it more lively, for sure, you can use Instagram stories. It's very popular.
Yeah.
Uh, and for Instagram stories, you don't need to polish, you know? It's like you basically you document, you grab a moment. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe, like I said, you're cooking something, you just make a quick snap of the picture of the dish, and or you can make all the steps of the cooking recipe, you know. And you can even ask questions to people like, uh, should I put more of this, should I open a white, should I open a red, or you know. It's
Mm-hmm.
like creating more engagement, more lively content. Because the problem on social media is often people are just putting out content to be there, but it's not in the way to connect with the people.
Yeah.
And after, what you can do, what is very useful as a platform, is use Vivino to talk with consumers. Because
Yeah, that it's
you know, you can create a profile for your winery, which means that once a week you can go, gonna take you 1 or 2 hours, depending on how many people have been drinking the wines, but you can engage with them and you can see if they liked it, if they didn't like it. You can also engage there, maybe say, oh, okay, you liked it, maybe come visit us next time you're around, or if you want to get more about our little winery, go and check out our Instagram. And also, it's a way to see where they're buying your wines, because it's often the problem. Wineries lost track at some point of where the wine is sold.
yeah.
So
That it's
social
true,
media is useful for.
Fabian. You know that last year we had a lot of visitors from USA, and
Mhm.
we don't have our wines there.
Yeah,
And I received a lot of emails like, "Oh, where I can find your wine in here." So, but that it's another work that it has to be done.
yeah. But at some point, it's like whether you have consumers at your winery or online, who knows? Maybe one of these guy has a good friend who's a wine importer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't engage with them, you cannot know it.
Yes, yes, it's true.
So it's like use the social media to do a lot of stuff. It's not only about communicating and sharing about yourself. It's like connecting in a different way. Like if I would go back 20 years ago and say that I think, yeah,
Eh,
for social media, first is like you need to define, you already have some statistics about the ages, where they're from. So
yeah, the
already,
countries.
yeah. So basically, what you should do is maybe make two profiles, man and woman. You know what you create on a sheet, like men profile, woman profile, and you start to target about to see what is their average age, but also what are the passions, what are the interests, because it's going to be for you the way to connect with them.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the woman's gonna be, I don't know, more sport, more fitness, more yoga. Study which hashtags are the best for you.
Yeah, that it's good that you mentioned that.
Hashtags are very important, and the problem is like if you put hashtags that are too common, too general, you're gonna get drawn in it. You know, your post is not gonna be noticed. But if you
Mhm.
do good hashtags, then it's gonna help you a lot, a lot.
And the thing it is not using all the same. Am I right? Like changing always, not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But what you can do is like create, I don't know, 10 different groups of hashtags. So each time you can copy different stuff. Me, I'm using this platform for a couple of years now, 2 years, I think, or three. It's called Hashtastics. And basically, it allows you to search what are the best hashtags. If I look at the results, I just type Duro. So you have one column that is the hashtags, one that is the post counts, then one is the daily score. So what
That,
you need to find is the balance between the post counts and the scorings. Because more you're gonna have posts, less you're gonna be noticed.
and another thing it is, Fabian, because we can buy followers and so, but we don't want to do that. We want to grow like organically.
Let me tell you, you cannot buy followers. If you buy followers, it's fake followers. So
Yeah, but
it's
there's a
like
lot of people that they do that,
it's
like
like
bots.
It's bad practices, it's
Yeah.
bad. It's bad ethics. It's bad for your engagement. And what is the point to have, I don't know, 100,000 followers if you have less than 1% that is engaging?
Yeah, yeah, true.
The stuff is not about having too many. It's better to have 1,000, but this 1,000 is actual consumers, so people that are buying your wine, than having 1 million and no one is buying your wine and no one is engaging with your content.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if it's some beliefs from some people in the company, but if some people are telling you we just want to increase followers, it's a bad decision.
No, we want to, as I mentioned before, we want to grow like organically.
Yeah,
We want to the people
likely what I've been
follow us.
doing, for example, with one of the client, I'm doing it daily, except end of December, I took a bit of time off, but every day, every morning. So it's very time consuming, but every morning I um, I check what has been posted related to the brand or to producers nearby, and then I engage with all, whether they're consumer or producers. What
Mm-hmm.
is good, I keep it and I repost it in the stories. So I share it in the stories. And what is very good, I save it. So I'm also creating a library
Mm-hmm.
in the save post in Instagram. So
Mm-hmm.
later I can reuse it to make a post.
Mm-hmm.
And this I do it 7 days a week. And usually 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon.
And what do you think about sponsors? Sponsors some posts.
It depends for what. Like I say, if it's just to get bigger numbers, it's a waste of money. If it's like, I don't know, if you're doing an event at the winery, maybe do it, but then you do some targeting. Yeah, I would say, like, if you want to sponsor, do it, but on some key moments. I don't know, you're having a garden party, you're making a big tasting, or do it.
Mm-hmm.
And after, when it comes anyway to making ads with alcohol, it's not allowed. So you cannot put out commercial, like buy a case of this and get this as a discount. It doesn't work anyway. It's
Mm-hmm.
like with consumers. I always believe, like, it's good to work online, but to me, to work online with wine is what I only do is to sell a destination, to sell an experience. Because
Yeah.
I know if I convince them to come to me at my winery in my region or something, if they already come, I have done most of the job. Is 80% of the job is done. The 20% is going to be on the spot. It's going to be sharing a moment with them, giving them a nice experience. But as soon as they come, the job is almost done.
Mm-hmm. So when do you come to Portugal?
Uh, when uh, when all this mess is going to be a bit more. Uh, I think it's one of the best is, but when I say this is also is with people who makes nice pictures and who have nice channels, but also consumers. If you have a nice place at the winery, make a place where people gonna make a nice souvenir. They're gonna take this picture that they're gonna bring back home, but they're gonna share on social media. Because by
Mm-hmm.
having people coming to you and having a very nice place, maybe with a duro in the back or by a pool, just by having people posting all year like this for you, it costs you nothing because they're
Yeah.
already at your place.
Mm-hmm.
But by having this already, they make you free promotion. And so if you get nice pictures from people having fun at your winery, it's a win-win for you. And what you can do also is force them, you create your own hashtags, so it's also easier for you to filter. And
Mm-hmm.
all the good pictures, you can also save them to repost later. That's gonna mark you, is gonna blow your mind. And maybe 1 month later, you can do a nice post, not by saying, okay, come and visit us, but maybe saying a story about the visit of the people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe these two were so crazy and so happy to be there. And, he was a surgeon, she was a nurse, and, making a
Mm-hmm.
story. It doesn't need to be props or whatever, but find a place where, when people gonna walk by, they say, we want to have a picture there. probably with a glass of wine, or you know.
Mhm.
Uh, in the Duro, actually, it's especially easy with the landscape usually. So
Yes, yes. So with that we are really lucky.
if you have a good cell phone connection, there is some people producers doing this in France, and it works pretty well. Is every Tuesday morning for 20-25 minutes, they go walk in the vineyards, showing how the vineyard is going, and if there is some work done there. And they also talk about the soil, but also reply to all the questions from the people.
But you
Y-
direct a
yeah, with
direct
yeah, Instagram live they do.
lives, yes,
They walk
direct.
with the phone in the vineyard,
Mm-hmm.
and then they also save the videos on their Instagram stories, so people can see it in 1 month or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
it's working pretty well. Like every Tuesday, usually she get between 50 to 100 people watching.
How
It
many?
50 between 50 and 100. It's not much, but you multiply this number by 52 weeks, and it costs you nothing, whether it's you or the guy working in the vineyards, like, or the guy working in the cellar.
Mm-hmm.
Once a week or every 2 weeks or once a month can go in the vineyard, talk about when there is something to do, or a very nice place or very nice weather, and say, okay, here we do this, and maybe this is here that we make this wine. When you have the grapes, you can show the grape in your hands,
Mm-hmm.
it. You can use video like this, it's free, you don't need editing, and it's a direct video, so you can interact very
Mm-hmm.
easily. You don't need to type, you just look at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
menu.
yeah, yeah. So, Fabien,
My pleasure.
merci beaucoup.
Have a great day.
You too.